All right, Broncos Country, what's going on? Happy weekend. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. Gonna get to my 4 keys to victory for the Broncos to go onto the East Coast, get a big-time road win against the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe to David Talks Broncos. We're on our way to 2,000. So let's go ahead and get into this preview. I think the first thing that we should start out with, though, before I get into my keys of the game, is just taking a look at the injury report. And right now, I feel like there are some things breaking the Broncos' way. So let me pull this up. And maybe that's an okay view. Anyways, let's take a look at the Broncos first. We got 2 guys that have been ruled out, Baron Browning and J.L. Skinner. Okay. Personally, I don't mind. Like, obviously, it's never ideal to have Baron Browning out, but I wouldn't mind seeing more Jonah Ellis. So I think we're going to see more of him. John Franklin Myers was a full participant today, so I think you can count on him playing, as well as Brandon Jones, full participant. And then the other guys, Zach Allen, Greg Dulcich, Josh Reynolds, Adam Troutman, and then Devon Vele, another full participant. That's great. I would expect all these guys to play, and we're going to need Vele. I think that he and Bo Nix showed some good chemistry week 1 in Seattle, and I think we're going to need that and more if we're going to go into Tampa and get a victory. Now, on the Buccaneers side, yeah, things aren't looking as ideal for them. They have Luke Godecki. Their offensive tackle is out, as well as Kalijah Cansey ruled out, and Antoine Winfield Jr. is out. Now, Mike Evans, Levante David, those guys are going to play. They're just getting rest. But doubtful, Vita Vea on the defensive line. Cameron Johnson, one of their depth wide receivers. And then questionable, you got Josh Hayes, a DB, as well as William Golston. That's huge. So they could be without 3 of their interior defensive linemen. It's going to be imperative. The Broncos got to run the football in order to have an opportunity to win this game. That needs to happen. So that's the injury report right now. A lot of injuries on the defensive side, specifically for Tampa Bay, as well as with an offensive tackle out. Can we take advantage of that? Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully my internet is back. Apologies for the delays, but let's go ahead and get into my keys to the game. Let's do that. Number 1, more Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Beatty, less Javonte. I think, hey, if we've looked at the tape the last couple weeks, right, the holes have been there. It hasn't been terrible every single running point the Broncos have had. Javonte's just not finding those holes. Like I said earlier today, he's got the vision of, or earlier this week, he's got the vision of Ray Charles out there right now. And we can't have somebody with blind vision being our running back right now. Javonte's got to be better. And right now I want to go with the hot hand. Tyler Beatty had a 16-yard carry last week, and then we never went back to him. Sean Payton, he needs to just ride the hot hand at the running back position. I want to see what a combination of Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Beatty can do. I want to see it. And when we look at like the stats for the Broncos here on yards per carry, like I'm going to read this to you guys. You might be a little shocked. Jaleel McLaughlin is at 2.5 yards per carry. Javonte Williams is at a team low 2.1. So neither of them have been great. Of course, Tyler Beatty only has 1 rush for 16 yards, and Audric Estime, who's on IR, has 2 rushes for 14. So it's going to be really important that we get a run game going. But I think that Tyler Beatty, Jaleel McLaughlin, those guys might give us the best opportunity right now to get one going. Bo Nix is also averaging 6.7 yards on the ground per rush. This is my next key to the game. We need a running game to take pressure off of Bo Nix, but also we got to make some things easy for him. Let's get Bo Nix running early. We've seen the wheels that he's got. running up to over 20 miles an hour, on some of those scramble runs that he's had. That's been wonderful to see. He's got the size and speed to do some designed runs at the beginning of the game. Get him into a flow. Just get him having some easy plays where he's gaining yards, gaining confidence. Hopefully then it kind of helps get him into a rhythm. Kind of how I look at this is having some designed runs along with some quick passing game concepts called early. So you're allowing, kind of like in basketball, a guy to see the ball go in the hoop a little bit with maybe some layups or some, easy float or something like that, right? Before you're asking him to kind of hit those long three-pointer shots, right? I think a lot of these plays that we've seen Bo Nix drop back for, a lot of it's been longer developing routes. We're asking him to hit those three-pointers, but let's get him into a rhythm early on. Let's get him running a little earlier. Let's do some zone read. Let's do some legitimate RPO. Not only does he have the option to hand off, but run himself or then throw it. Like triple option type of stuff in some sense. Let's get him confident. Let's get him in a rhythm early. Now, two keys to the defensive side of the field. The lockdown firm of Eminem, McMillan, and Moss, baby. We know that Patrick Surtain's going to do his thing, right? Probably going to be on Mike Evans for the majority of the game. Riley Moss and Jaquan McMillan have to have good games going up against this very, very good receiving core. You got McMillan, who's their Washington draft pick earlier this year. And then they got Chris Godwin. Those are going to be guys that we're going to have to lock down. I imagine McMillan is going to be matched up with Moss, and then Jaquan McMillan is going to take on Chris Godwin. So it's going to be very important for us to have good coverage, and because Tampa Bay's got a pretty good offensive line right now. They've only given up 4 sacks, so that's 2 a game. I think that's a little bit higher than average right now. If you're looking at like the PFF grades for pass blocking, they are currently 11th with a 71.1 pass blocking. For context, Denver right now is 22nd in that rating. So they've had a good offensive line. You want to make Baker Mayfield feel the pressure. And with one of their starting tackles out, maybe Rachaad White plays, maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't play, I think that bodes well for the Broncos. Who knows what they'll do for pass protection if that's the case. But it's going to be imperative for guys like John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen, who's coming off of a dominating performance, as well as somebody like Jonah Ellis in conjunction with Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonino, to get pressure. So none of this is really rocket science. Let's get to the quarterback and let's guard their receivers, right? I think another thing is just limiting the possessions that Tampa Bay has. This is a high-octane offense, and it's going to be important for us to win the time of possession, or at least have it close. We're going to have an opportunity to go and win this game. I don't want to give their offense too many more opportunities than what they should be having, right? And if we can get out to a lead in the first quarter, wouldn't that just be phenomenal? Let's get out to a lead. Let's have Bo Nix in the offense, have a little bit of space to find a rhythm, and let's get these guys going. So hopefully we see some more usage of speed. I think that they've alluded to that a little bit in the press conferences this week. We'll have to see if it leads to anything, but would not mind seeing Marvin Mims receive some more action, right? Seeing Troy Franklin get some looks as well. I think Troy Franklin had one ball that was going his way last game on a slant route, and it ended up being batted down. So let's see if Bo Nix can get into a rhythm with some of those guys, because right now, if we're having little Jordan Humphrey out there dropping passes or whatever, it's a moot point at that point. So those are my keys to the game right now. Again, let's run the ball effectively. I think Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Beatty right now give us the best opportunity to do that. Let's just ride the hot hand. Devontae Williams, 2.1 yards carry, unacceptable. Unacceptable. Get Bo Nix running early. especially with having a failing run game these first 2 weeks. Let's incorporate the quarterback in on that a little bit more. Help that run game get going. The lockdown firm of M&M, McMillan and Moss, baby. They got to play well. Then we got to get to Mayfield. If we can make Baker Mayfield feel like a 6-foot quarterback, that's going to be important. So I think that this is going to be a close game. Man, right now it's hard for me to predict the Broncos getting any win right now with losing to the Steelers at the way that they won, or with the way that they lost last week. But hopefully we can see the offense make some nice and take some nice steps forward and see Bo Nix get that first career passing touchdown in the NFL. Just get the monkey off the back. But I want to see Sean Payton open it up a little bit, get a little bit more creative. As we know, Sean Payton, he can be a little bit stubborn kind of at the beginning, especially at the beginning of seasons. Let's see him change that narrative this week against Tampa Bay. I think we got to be creative. It's time for this offense to operate a little bit more high octane, right? I think we got some pieces to do that. We should score definitely more than 10 points. What did we score last game? 6? Can't do it. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back with another video tomorrow. As always, go Broncos.